Okay, let's continue our discussion on Stoicism, where we are going through the Meditations by Marcus Aurelius, the Emperor Philosopher. I would like to combine two shorter sections of the fourth book today. 25 and 26. Try out too how the life of the good man goes for you, the man content with his dispensation from the whole, and satisfied in his own just action and kind disposition. And then 26. You have seen that, now look at this. Do not trouble yourself, keep yourself simple. Someone does wrong, he does wrong to himself. Has something happened to you? Fine. All that happens has been fated by the whole from the beginning and spun for your own destiny. In sum, life is short. Make your gain from the present moment with right, reason and justice. Keep sober and relaxed. Okay, two short sections. I like that first one a lot. Try out too how the life of the good man goes for you. I'm assuming that good man in the original either said sophos, which means something like a sage, or spoudeos. Maybe it said spoudeos, so a virtuous man. I haven't looked up the Greek, but good man is good enough. And obviously this is not gender neutral language, but I'm sure Marcus would have agreed with good man, good woman, good person, right? Anything, good person. Try out too how that life of the good person goes for you, the man content with his dispensation from the whole and satisfied in his own just action and kind disposition. How much more concise can you really sum up Stoicism? I guess you could stow it away too, but sum up Stoicism. The man content with his disposition from the whole, the universe, the logos, the cosmos, satisfied in his own just action and kind disposition. Superb, right? Here are three things that are incredibly important in life. One, be happy with what you have. Tomorrow it may be taken away from you. And even if you do not feel particularly fortunate in life, that is still your life. This is often easier to say than to feel, make no mistake, and I'm not making light of anything. But whatever happens to you, that is uniquely yours. That is your path in life. And that's the way it is. And if you can be satisfied, and he doesn't say that, he says content, which is even better. Content with that, whatever it is you get, how can you be unhappy? You say, okay, whatever crosses my path, and I accept it. Some things, when you think about it, some things will be good. Some things will be bad. Hopefully you have mainly good things in your life. Some people seem to have mainly bad things in their life. Some people have terrible things happen to them in their lives and they still come out on top of things and they're still happy people. Overall, nobody's always happy. Everybody has dark days. And that's okay too. Step one, try to be content with what you have. This sort of reaches back to one of the chapters of the Enchiridion from Epictetus that we talked about. Do not ask for things to be as you wish them to be, but wish for things to be as they truly are, and you will be all right. How can you not be? Everything that crosses your path, you take exactly the way it is. Roll with the punches. Now, don't get me wrong. Again, I'm not saying that's easy. I'm not saying that something bad happens and you say, oh, that was funny, great. Of course not. Of course not. It's hard and difficult and confusing and complex and it can make you feel bad. But that's a start. Try to accept things as they come. Don't fight against it. Try to go along with it and then see what happens. It's just the way it is. And remember, if it's outside your control, nothing you can do about it. If you fall ill, you fall ill. If you lose a loved one, you lose a loved one. I'm not saying it's easy, but it is. Full stop. It just is. Right? Now, whether you believe that the whole, I think that in Greek would say logos, so the sort of the, remember the Stoics believe in a sort of like a giant rational universe. It doesn't matter whether you believe in that, or in fate, or in God, or just in a stochastic universe where things just happen randomly. When you think about it, it doesn't really matter, does it? Things just happen to you, whether God willed it or whether it's just a completely random process without any rational will behind it. It just happens to happen to you. But if you can accept it as it is, you've made great progress. Second thing, satisfied in his own just action. If you do the right thing, if you choose the path of virtue, if you do and say the proper things, how can you be disappointed in yourself? How can anyone be disappointed in you? You do the right thing. And if you are known for doing the right thing, people will know and they will notice. They may not fully understand it, but that's not within your control, whether they understand your actions or not. You do what is the right thing. And then finally, in kind disposition. If you can be kind, I'm not going to say under all circumstances because I don't think anyone can, but if you can be kind under most circumstances and really make an effort to be kind, then again, how can you ever be disappointed? Kindness often works and is valued and cherished. Now, someone's going to say, yeah, well, what if someone does this or that to you? Yeah, that's not really what I'm talking about. I'm talking about normal, everyday life. Normal, everyday life. I try to make a point of that. Since I try to be more stoic about things, I try to make a point of that. So I'll give you a concrete example. If I walk through a store, say a department store, clothes, and I see an article of clothing on the floor, I pick it up and I put it back on the rack. Does that make a difference in the world? Probably not. I mean, is that going to create world peace? Probably not. But at the end of the day, I can say, my day sucked today. I had a hard day. But I did this. And that was a kind thing. Simple thing. Does it take me any effort to pick up that one thing? Is it hard on me? Is it difficult? Does it cost me any money? Not really, right? It's just kindness. And sometimes kindness is enough. Sometimes it's all you have. Remember, you may not be in control of your situation, but you are in control of what you do and what you think. And if you choose to do kindness, I'm not saying then you will be met with kindness. I personally don't believe in a universe that works that way. I don't think that's how it is. It would be great if it was, but I simply don't believe that. Fine if you do, but I don't, right? But if you do kindness and you don't expect anything back, I almost think that's even nicer. You don't do kindness because you think, well, if I do this kind thing, then the universe will give me that. No, you just do it because you want to do it. You want to be a kind person. And again, I fail at this too. Okay, but I try, right? Remember what we said at some point? Progress is enough. We're not perfect. And we're not going to be perfect every time. Maybe you have a day where you're very good. You're not perfect. Nobody is. But progress is enough. And then this second part. You have seen that. Now look at this. Do not trouble yourself. Keep yourself simple. Kind of something we talked about last time, right? Only do the necessary things. Here is one that I love. Someone does wrong, he does wrong to himself. That's a very powerful statement. And that is one that I try to remind myself of every time something negative happens. It can be a simple thing, right? Someone cuts you off in traffic. It's a simple thing. Or you may have noticed that occasionally that happens to me. People leave me negative YouTube comments. And you know, the thing is, sometimes those comments are just funny, and I think it's funny, and I laugh about it. But sometimes they hit you at exactly the wrong moment. Or you may already be a bit stressed, so you don't feel that well that day, or you have a bit of an off day or whatever. And then it just stings. And then I want to respond, and I want to be aggressive about it, and I want to be mean, and I try not to. This is an area where I fail. This is something that is a continuous battle for me. And this, to me, I'll give you a very vivid example. Look up the final lightsaber duel between Darth Vader and Luke Skywalker. Darth Vader is taunting Luke Skywalker about his sister, and Luke is trying to stay calm. It's a beautiful scene, and that is one of the most moving pieces of soundtrack, by the way, in the entire Star Wars saga. And Darth Vader is taunting Luke, and Luke is trying to stay calm, is trying to stay calm, is trying to stay calm. And in the end, Darth Vader says about Luke's sister, perhaps if you will not turn to the dark side, she will. And at that point, Luke snaps, and he says, never! And he starts to sort of chop away Darth Vader, and that's how he beats him, because he uses his anger. He almost falls prey to the dark side. And that's what that feels like when I get a comment like that. I get that response of never, and I start to, but that's when I have to hold myself back. Sorry for talking about myself for a bit, but I think that's a good example. And this is what I try to remind myself of at those moments. Someone does wrong, he does wrong to himself. If someone leaves you, I'll stick to that example because I've gone down that path now. If someone leaves you a negative YouTube comment, I know that you may not experience that, but I do, and I get that a lot. Do they do you wrong? Yeah, that was a sentence. Do they do you wrong? Or do they do themselves wrong? If they are right to point out something I have done wrong, they're right. And they have the right to point that out and say, you were wrong, but you said this, but in reality it's that. Then they are right, and I cannot argue that. And I will not argue that. Sometimes I feel like, oh, but I cannot argue that, and I should not argue that. It's a waste of time. They're right. But sometimes they say things, people say things that are very mean and very personal, and that kind of offend you. But then they choose to say something. I'm not talking about something where they point out something you have actually done wrong. They just say something to be mean, and they know they say that to hurt you. That's not virtuous. In the Stoic sense of the word, that's not virtuous. Hurting others is not virtuous. So from a Stoic viewpoint, and this is a hard one to accept, but from a Stoic viewpoint, a person who leaves a negative comment like that does a non-virtuous thing. And that means that they are doing something wrong. Remember that principle of eudaimonia, the sort of the rich and fulfilling life? In the Stoic mindset, you cannot have that unless you are virtuous. So if you continuously do those kinds of things, if you are continuously trying to hurt other people, say online, you're the one who suffers. That may be why you are trying to hurt other people online in the first place. You're hurting, and therefore you want to make others hurt. I know all this. I have a PhD in psychology. But knowing and feeling are two different things, aren't they? So in those moments, this is a good thing to remember. Someone does wrong, he does wrong to himself. Something happened to you? Fine. All that happens has been fated by the whole from the beginning and spun for your destiny. Well, that's what we were talking about before. You get your allotment from the whole. Whether you believe in that or not, it's perfectly fine, but whatever happens to you is uniquely yours, right? And this ties into that. All that happens to you happens to you. In sum, life is short. Make your gain from the present moment with right reason and justice. Keep sober and relaxed. Right reason. Proper reasoning, not warped reasoning. If it's not within your control, you cannot really worry about it. There's nothing you can do. If it is, you can change it. You don't have to worry about it. It is not the thing that bothers you. It's how you think about it. That is Stoic, right reason. Justice. If you act justly, if you act virtuously, why feel bad? You've done the right thing. Keep sober and relaxed. Keep your mind clear. Stay relaxed. Stress is bad. He knew it. sober and relaxed. I find these two incredibly interesting passages, and I really enjoy these. I'll try to remind myself of that one again. If someone does wrong, he does wrong to himself. Okay, I hope this was useful. I'm glad to see you again next week for another talk about Stoicism. Bye bye.